Okay, great. I think we can go ahead and get started now. Hi, everyone. My name is Chrissy Toll, and I lead our news and local media partnerships team here in the US. And I have with me two of my colleagues, Sarah and Chris, who I will now have introduced themselves.
Hi, thanks, Chrissy. So I'm with the central team for the Journalism Emergency Relief Fund, which obviously you're here to learn about today. And I help the applicants with any questions and such like. So I'll be helping you today with any questions you want to put in the comments thread. And let me hand you over to my colleague, Chris.
Thanks very much, Sarah. Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Chris Jansen, and my group looks after primarily our US-based news and publishing partners, and we're so glad you're all here with us today. I'll turn it back over to Chrissy.
Thank you, Sarah and Chris. Great. So first, would like to welcome you all here today. We are really excited to have you all here and share more details about the Journalism Emergency Relief Fund. So we hope to use the time today to go over more details about the program, the eligibility requirements, and then we'll open it up for any questions that you may have. So please, I would like to encourage you all to utilize the chat feature within the interface. So please put your questions there, and once we're done walking through the slides, we will open it up to any questions that you may have. So what are we announcing? Next slide, please. So we're announcing the Journalism Emergency Relief Fund, which is a global fund, which is to support the production of original local journalism for local communities in the face of this pandemic, which we are currently in the midst of. And the fund will operate globally, and our hope is that it will be an easily accessible route to financial assistance. So the good news is that this is the North America Town Hall, and all regions in North America are eligible to apply. So if you're in North America, your organization will be eligible to apply, barring you meet the next eligibility requirements, which are, if you go to the next slide, Chris. Thank you. We're really looking to fund small and medium-sized news organizations that are producing original news for local communities. So what does that mean? So we're looking to fund organizations that employ between 2 to 100 full-time employees, with the caveat that if you are above 100 employees, that's okay. You can still apply. We are also requiring that the news organizations have a digital presence and have been in operation for at least 12 months. And we plan to fund nonprofits, for-profit, traditional news organizations. We will be funding digital natives, radio, and TV broadcasters. So we are accepting all mediums. You will not be eligible if you are a government-owned entity. We will also not be funding eligibles, individuals on their own. They must be with an organization. And we're really looking to fund core news organizations. So we will not be funding lifestyle organizations, sports news, and B2B news. And as I mentioned previously, you must have a digital presence and be incorporated for at least 12 months. So what is the process? You can apply now. So there's a link in the slide with the application, as well as the site to the Journalism Emergency Relief Fund. The window to apply will be open for 2 weeks. We'll be closing the window on April 29th. And I'd like to encourage you all to apply sooner rather than later. So we will be looking at applications on a rolling basis. However, no decisions will be made until the 2-week window has been closed and we can assess all applications that were received. But we encourage you to apply sooner rather than later so that we don't receive all applications at the end because it'll be challenging to get through them all. And we will notify all applicants via email at the end of the process with the decision on whether to fund or not. So what information is required? Our hope was to create a really simple and easy process to apply. So as you will see when you go to the application form, you need to include basic company information like the date that you were founded, the location of your news organization, your URL, And we want to hear briefly about the work that you'll be carrying out to assist your community. You do not need to have any grant writing background. Again, the hope was to create something really simple and easy to not put additional load on your already very busy teams. So here's a quick look at the application. When you get there, you will see you can actually fill out the form on the site, but you can also download it and then go ahead and fill it out and upload it at your ease. So 2 options to fill out the application. And then how does the funding work? So we will actually be dispersing the funds in one installment, and our hope is to do this as quickly as possible. And for the North America region, we will be sending the funds in US dollars. And the funding amounts will range from the low thousands of dollars for small hyperlocal newsrooms to the low tens of thousands for the larger newsrooms. And the funding amounts will vary across regions. So just some really quick tips for you all as you get started on your applications. Please be sure to read through the terms and conditions in the FAQ very carefully. We have found it is a little bit easier if you want to download the application form ahead and then upload, so you can get all of your thoughts together. And make sure to include, again, just a short form about how you plan to serve the community during crisis. And please, we're asking for only 1 application per newsroom. And as I mentioned, please do it now so that we have time to get through all of the applications and we can get back to you with a quick response. So if you want to go to the next slide, I wanted to just quickly throw up some additional resources for you all. If we're not able to answer the questions today, please go ahead and send an email directly to jerfund@google.com. And Sarah, Chris, and I will also be hosting daily office hours via the link here on the slide. So I encourage you all to take a quick photo of this slide and join that Hangout link to ask us direct questions on a daily basis. And we'll be hosting them every single day from now until April 29th. So with that, let's go ahead and open it up to any live questions.
Okay, so we have a few in, Chrissy. I'll start at the top. Janine Brooks has asked us, if our newsroom is small and working with freelancers and part-time staff, but we're currently awaiting response on funding that would bring on 2 full-time journalists, could we be eligible?
The requirement is that you have full-time employees at the time of the application process. So if you do not have 2 full-time employees right now, you would not be eligible.
I would just put a rider to that, obviously if you feel that everything else is eligible in your organization, it's local, it's community, it's going to answer a particular community need, you could apply. And it could be discretionary to look at that. So although you're not strictly within the guidelines, there is that sort of opportunity. I'll go to the second question. Who wants to take this one?
Sure, I'll take this one.
Okay, thanks, Chris. It's another Chris. There's a lot of Chris's on this call. When can we expect to hear about the grant application we submitted Wednesday?
In general, we need some time to look at all of the applications that are submitted during the application window. So that will go up until April 29th, and we will be communicating the decision by email as soon as we can following that date.
Okay. Danielle asks whether supporting staff such as graphic designers within the editorial department are included in full-time employees status. I'd say the rules are that they are 2 journalists. And by journalist, it's obviously self-defined, but people that are carrying out an editorial function. So I'd have a think about what those people are doing. If you can make the case that they're journalists because their editorial function that they're completing, then you could be able to apply. But obviously non-journalistic roles, I don't know, the finance department, accountants, salespeople, obviously they wouldn't be eligible at all. Ben, you're looking for the PDF download. I'm going to take this one because it's an issue we've got at the moment on the site and we're looking to address it. So in the meantime, you could download it as a CSV file. So I'll answer that one. Where are we? Oh, here's an interesting one. Another Chris. Chris Kobler this time. How do we best qualify for the largest grant possible? We are a family-owned daily paper dating back to 1846 in rural Texas.
I would say the best answer to that is just please submit the application. We will look at your application closely and we'll respond with an appropriate funding amount if your application is approved. Apologies, probably want more details than that, but it's not something that we can share a great deal about.
Okay, Liz has asked, if we submitted a grant Wednesday, when will we hear? Is more than one award possible?
There will only be one award per title.
And it's probably worth, I know we had the question about time frame earlier, but just also pointing out that they're not really grants. The funding is provided, just as on a funding basis because of the emergency. Obviously, when you submit your form, you should receive, it's automated, but you should receive a confirmation that we have it. So providing you've received that confirmation and you've got the application number that we give you, you can be confident that it's going to be reviewed. Okay, I have one here about sports. If a sports-related event helps fund our journalism, is that good information to include? While we certainly have general newsroom, should we also include information about sports journalists?
The purpose and intent of this fund is to fund original news, core news. So I don't think the sports information will be necessary or relevant to the application.
Okay, Melody asks, do radio stations, magazines, TV stations all qualify?
If their focus is core news, then yes.
Okay. It's going so fast. Right, here we go. From Richard, what will be required, stroke available on an ongoing basis in terms of involvement with Google?
There is really no involvement required with Google to be eligible. So there, I guess the quick answer is none is required.
Okay. Robert asks, are there restrictions on funding?
I would say that best thing to do is read through the eligibility requirements at the application site. That's your best place to start.
Yeah, and that's the overriding one, is that the funding is used in the news COVID coverage, period. It's an editor, it's a journalism fund. So the restrictions are there, but there's no restrictions like on overhead or editorial or anything specific like that, but it must be used for this crisis. The Bucks County Herald asks, how many grants do you expect to award and what is the total fund? How is funding given priority? Example, community newspapers compared to regional newspapers.
We will not be public with the total size of the fund, and we're hoping to fund as many applications as we possibly can. So I can't actually give you a number to the total number of funds that we'll be able to give to local newsrooms. But as stated before, we're really trying to support small and medium-sized local newsrooms around the globe with the fund.
Ashley asks, what sort of projects are you most interested in, or can the funding be put toward a new hire to cover coronavirus?
So we don't actually have restrictions on how the funds need to be used. We're hoping to, they will be used to cover the coronavirus crisis. So you can use the funds at your discretion.
Yeah, and I think a new hire sounds like, the type of thing that would be envisaged by this, as it's all about keeping journalists working during this crisis. Paul asks, is FTE considered full-time to part-time reporters?
We're defining FTE as full-time employee and specifically not part-time. So Chrissy and Sarah, please correct me if I'm wrong on that, but the intent here definitely is for full-time staff employees.
Yeah, minimum of 2. Yeah. Pam asks, if we have multiple titles within a company, can we apply multiple times, once for each title?
Yes, you can. However, we may need to cap the number of grants that a parent company receives, but you can apply for each title.
Mary Ellen asks, our company has been producing local news for 40 years as a for-profit company and converted to a non-profit as of January. Non-profit created June 2019. How does this affect our eligibility? I can take that one if you like. The founding eligibility is, as I say, the founding. So the fact that you've been operating for 40 years as a company, whether or not it's profit or non-profit makes no difference. You were founded 40 years ago, so you're obviously well within our eligibility of 12 months there.
And kudos, by the way, and thank you for what you've done for your community.
Congratulations. Halle, where in the application do we request a specific amount based on our needs, or will the grant maker team assign a value based on our overall needs? Good question.
It's the latter. We're not asking for you to self-declare an amount. We're going to take care of that on our side.
So Jessica asks, do we have to be a non-profit newsroom requiring a tax ID to apply?
Sarah, do you have that one? Can you take that one?
No, you don't. You can be for-profit, non-profit, as long as you're incorporated, and incorporated obviously in North America, and have been in existence for at least 12 months. That's the eligibility criteria. Okay, so John asks, we have a separate website with 2 full-time reporters doing a Spanish site for a large Hispanic population. They are posting stories, photos, and videos on the virus. Should they apply?
It sounds like they would be eligible, a separate title with 2 full-time employees. So from the information I received, it sounds like they would likely be eligible. So yes, definitely apply.
Yeah, sure. And the final one is from Petra, who asks, what are your selecting criteria?
I would say, first of all, I was expecting that final one to be from yet another person named Chris or Chrissy. But Petra, thank you for your question. I think we may have answered this in a number of ways throughout the presentation, and please definitely review the application. All the eligibility requirements are clearly listed there, but just in summary, we're really trying to target small to medium newsrooms that are focused on delivering original news content for their local communities.
We have a last one in actually now from Ben, and we can still take some more, so don't be shy. Ben asks, our company has several hyperlocal publications and we prefer to submit applications for each one. It looks like the form as offered only allows one. How are multiple submissions possible?
Ben, you should be able to, you will need to do a separate application for each title. So please please submit one for each title. And if you're having any difficulties, please just send us an email at that jerfund@google.com and we will address it separately.
I have a question here. Is this fund a loan? If so, what are repayment details?
Not a loan.
Not alone.
No repayments. Laura asks, we are a local mid-sized news station recently bought by a larger company We are doing a ton to help our local advertisers and people in our community. Would we still be able to apply? So the issue there being the acquisition.
Well, so let's see. So I think the short answer is yes. We've talked about this a bit already, insofar as that you may be part of an organization that is owned by a larger parent company, but we would still encourage you to apply if your organization within that parent company meets the criteria.
And one from Pam, and I know this is an issue for a few people. Can you confirm that the CSV file is working? Because when I download it, it's blank. Just to be clear, the CSV file will download when you complete the application. Download it as a CSV. It's designed for you to be able to kind of save it, keep it for your references, whatever. It doesn't download the entire application form at this point.
And just to call out for those of you who may not have actually looked at the application yet, what we're talking about here is that we know that there are some people who are having technical difficulties with the ability to, in effect, save the application that they made, save a record of it, and we're aware of it and we're working on it.
And we have one here. We have 2 reporters only, have for 21 years. Realistically, being at the lower end of the eligibility criteria, will our application be considered?
Absolutely. You meet the requirements, so please, by all means, apply.
Any more questions? Give it a couple of seconds in case somebody, oh yes. I have only 1 full-time journalist. Is my publication still eligible?
No, if you have only one full-time employee, you would not be eligible.
Yeah, sadly, that the minimum is 2. Pam comes back, thanks. So you can help point me to where the PDF of the application so we can see it before starting the process. At the moment, it's not there. We hope to have it there, but we don't have it there at the moment, but we hope to address that soon. Any more questions? I think that's about it for questions.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining, and a quick reminder that we will be hosting. Please go ahead and check out the website or join us on the Hangout link listed on the slide. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, great. Good luck.
Bye-bye. Thanks all.
Bye.